Hey guys, it's Jess and I am here today with a cumulative haul. I have way too many books here. This is a combination of birthday books, a couple trips to Barnes & Noble, an order from Amazon, and 2 orders from Book Outlet. I think there's like 38 books here. It's a lot. We're not going to talk about that part because that makes me feel a little bad. But I'm going to read them, so as long as they get read, it doesn't matter. I am going to start with the Amazon books I got, and first we have Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson and Invasion of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the first and the second in series. I don't really know what they're about. I'm pretty sure they're along the same line of the YA books where the heroine is in a bad situation. She ends up as like a queen and tries to stage a coup and overthrow the government. That's kind of the vibe I got. I'm going to wait till I read these because I'm currently reading Throne of Glass, and I just read Red Queen, and I'm pretty sure they're very similar, and I don't want that to ruin my perception of Queen of the Tearling. So I'm going to hold off to read these for a little while, but I have them for when I decide to read them. Next, I have Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Airfire, The Assassin's Blade, and Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I did pick up the whole series. I'm not going to marathon because that always makes me dislike sequels, but now I have it for when that desire fills me to read them. I am currently reading Throne of Glass. I am not far. I'm 5 chapters in. So far, I like it. It's a little slow, but I'm going to tough it out because everyone loves it so much. So that was my Amazon haul. Next, we'll talk about the books that I picked up from Barnes & Noble. First, we have The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I'm very excited to read this. I've heard a lot of good things. I didn't pick up the second one, not yet. I want to see how I feel about this one. No need to make my TBR longer when I'm not going to read the sequel. For those of you who don't know, The Fifth Wave is about an alien invasion that comes in waves, and currently we're on the 5th. I don't really know much beyond that. So, yeah. Next, we have Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. This is about a family vacation to Antarctica where I believe the mother goes missing. I've seen it a lot, not on BookTube, but on blogs, so I really want to read it finally and see if it's as good. This is adult fiction. This is not something I have too much of, so I'm trying to venture into that genre. Then we have Columbine by Dave Cullen. This is a non-fiction about Columbine shootings. I'm sure this is going to be a very heavy read. This is probably not something I'm going to read cover to cover, but that I will read little by little. Next, we have Scamp by Jennifer Pashley. This was a recommendation by a friend of mine on Instagram. This is about a small town girl who's trying to get away from everyone knowing everything about her life. And so she travels with a reporter, and then it turns out that she ends up in the exact same kind of situation. I'm fairly certain it's a thriller, mystery kind of novel. Again, not something I normally read. It is a deceivingly heavy book, so I'm sure this will be a good read, a long read. I always love recommendations. I'm willing to try anything, honestly. So we'll see how this turns out. Then I'm going to do my birthday books. I did receive the Mortal Instruments series from my wonderful boyfriend, but it has not come in yet. So once it does, I'll just post it on my Instagram. But beyond that, he also got me Seraphina and Shadow Scale. I love these covers. They're so gorgeous. They're super foiled and iridescent. So pretty. I know this series is about people who can turn into dragons. It seems pretty interesting. Not something I normally read. I'm trying to get more into fantasy because it's such a huge genre that is mostly undiscovered by me. So this is what I've been told is a good kind of transition into fantasy. Then my wonderful friend Jesus picked up Star Wars The Dark Disciple by Christy Golden. Christy Golden is definitely one of my favorite fandom writers. It's kind of how I classify her. She's written for World of Warcraft, Star Wars. I'm fairly certain she has done books for Warhammer. I could be wrong, but she's very, very popular amongst turning video games and fandoms into novels, and she is amazing. I love her writing. I cannot get enough, and I'm so excited to read this. My boyfriend listened to this on audiobook, and he said it was great, phenomenal, amazing. I'm super excited to dig into another Christy Golden book. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And then my wonderful friend Lexi picked up All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nevin. I've heard that this book is very emotional, and I'm pretty sure it involves suicide and self-harm. I have avoided picking this book up simply because I wasn't sure if I was ready to spend the money on it and stuff like that, so I'm really, really happy I got it as a gift. This will be on my read pile here very, very soon. She also picked up Beautiful Runes by Jess Walters. This got onto my TBR from the Goodreads Facebook page, where they put a post up that said they were increasing the fall TBR, and this was on there. This is a historical fiction about a Hollywood actress who goes to this Italian coastline and kind of lives out her life there in the 60s. I love historical fiction. I love anything that involves foreign countries. So I'm so excited to read this. I don't know too much about it, but I'm really excited nonetheless. Then we have two rather large orders from Book Outlet. One was 10, one was 12. So let's just get started. First, we have Now I'll Tell You Everything by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. This is a contemporary. This is like light, fluffy YA, from what I understand. I just wanted to get more contemporary into my collection, which is the big reason why I picked this up. Next is Scandal by Sarah Auckler. You can't totally see what it says here, but it says Lucy, and it says Lucy's best friend's boyfriend. Pretty sure this is like, it is also a contemporary, it is also YA, it is drama. I imagine so-and-so cheats on such and such with her best friend, and then drama and, you know, sass ensue. So that's why I picked this up, because everyone needs a good teen movie in a book form, and that is what kind of I imagine that this is going to be. Then we have Beneath the Glitter, a novel by Elle and Blair Fowler. If you're not familiar, Elle and Blair Fowler are YouTubers. They're beauty gurus. I think it's a light, fluffy contemporary, and it's going to be fun. So that's why I picked it up. And you should always support YouTubers, always and always. So that's why I did it. Then I picked up The Martian by Andy Weir. This is the mass market paperback version. I am excited to read this. I've heard a lot of great things about it. And I know the movie is out or is coming out. I'm not 100% sure. If you're not familiar, this is about a group of astronauts who goes to Mars, and then they get stuck in a storm, so they have to take off. And this gentleman gets stuck on the planet. They think he's dead, and they take off and leave him, and it turns out he's alive. And he now has to try and figure out how to stay alive for 4 weeks, 4 months. It's a pretty big gap, but it's for something, I'm pretty sure. So, thriller, action. I'm really, really excited to read this. Next, I picked up 2 more in Anna Goberson's Lux series. I picked up Rumors and Envy. These covers are so gorgeous. I want these dresses in my life because they're beautiful. Oh my gosh. The only one I still have to pick up is Splendor. I don't know what these are about. I think they're historical fiction. I know they're YA. I am excited to read them when I eventually do. Then we have How to Be an American Housewife by Margaret Dillaway. This is a historical fiction about a Japanese woman who marries an American GI and comes back to America and kind of learns how to be that perfect wife for him. I believe it's based on real events. I am not 100% sure. I will know more once I finally read it. It just sounded really interesting. Then we have The Merchant's Daughter by Melanie Dickerson. One of my favorite things about this cover is the reflection of the man in the mirror. From what I understand, this is about, obviously, a merchant's daughter who marries a man and gets involved with some other shady, questionable stuff that the merchant is doing, or someone who knows the merchant. It just sounded like a historical thriller kind of fiction, not something, like I said, not something I have too much of. I have a ton of historical fiction on my TBR, but not too much like thriller historical fiction, which was the big reason I picked it up. Then we have Cinderella Screwed Me Over by Cindy Madsen. The big reason I picked up this book was because of the title, and because I talk about this all the time, how Disney creates these like artificial happy ever afters that are never going to happen, and people believe them. And then when eventually they get into a relationship in high school or college and things aren't all, you know, fairy tales and party dresses, they're super upset. And there are no happily ever afters. There's always bumps in the road, and that's not really something you see in Disney movies, which is why I love the idea of this book, because that's pretty much exactly what it talks about. It talks about how this girl is sick of fairy tales, sick of false happily ever afters, and now she's taking matters into her own hands. It just sounded like exactly what I complain about. Then we have An Inconvenient Wife by Megan Chance. First, let's observe this gorgeous cover and how much I love it. This is a historical novel, but it is about a woman who kind of takes head in the liberation movement, women's liberation, women's rights, which is some books I really love. I have read some historical fiction in the past that follows this same kind of storyline, and I loved it, so I'm really excited to get into this kind of story again. Then we have two more Anna Godberson books. These are The Lucky Ones and Beautiful Days. These are historical fictions, I'm pretty sure about women. I don't know whether they're drama, whether they're contemporary romance, what exactly they are. I'm not going to lie to you. A big reason I picked these up was the covers. I love the covers. I think the covers are beautiful, and I adore them. And so that was a huge reason why I picked it up. We all do it. Let's not judge. Next, we have Pray for Us Sinners by Patrick Taylor. This is a historical fiction about the Irish Army and things they did, things that they've done in the past, things that could be good or bad, not really sure. I am getting into more and more historical fiction about soldiers, and that's what this is about, and that's why I picked it up. Then we have The Sisters from Hardscrabble Bay by Beverly Jensen. This is about these sisters who are going through all these trials, funerals. It is a historical fiction, obviously. You can probably tell by the cover again. But it's just kind of about them leaving their town and growing as women. And just seemed interesting, so picked it up. Seemed like a nice, quick, kind of motivational, inspirational read. This Ketchup Clouds by Annabelle Pitcher. I am just going to read the first paragraph of the inside, and you'll understand why I picked it up, okay? So it says, Zoe has an unconventional pen pal, Mr. Stuart Harris, a Texas death row inmate and convicted murderer. But then again, Zoe has an unconventional story to tell, a story about how she fell for two boys, betrayed one of them, and killed the other. So that's why I picked it up, because even just that first paragraph just really draws you in. Way to go, publishers. That is a great pitch right there. So that's why I picked it up. I am excited to read this, and it will probably move to the top of my to-be-read list here very soon. Then we have Orchards by Holly Thompson. I love the cover of this book. It seems so simple, but I love it so much. This is about a high schooler who one of her friends or fellow students, I'm not sure necessarily which it falls into, has committed suicide, and her parents in reaction send her off to her grandmother's in Japan to just kind of live there and reflect and maybe recuperate from the situation. And so I am trying to get into more serious YA, stuff that isn't necessarily, that I haven't seen mainstream, and this was one of those. Then we have The Fairy Ring by Kiki Hamilton. This is a really cool cover. This is a historical fiction about a girl who knows of this place in this forest where fairies live and come alive. So I think it's kind of historical fantasy fiction. If you've ever read Blythewood, that's kind of what it reminded me of, and I need some more of that in my life until the next book comes out. So that's why I picked this up. I will let you know if it falls into that great, into that great area that Blythewood did for me. Then we have Golden Boy by Abigail Tartlin. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. This, from what I understand, is about a transgender boy. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I will correct myself once I read it, but that was the impression I was under during purchase, so that's why I picked it up, because it's not something that's super popular in literature right now, and hopefully will be as time goes on. Next, we have It's Not You, It's Me by Carrie Cohn Hoffman. This book, the reason I got it is, I didn't get it because it's really small, but I got it because the back says, Zoe loves Henry, Henry dumps Zoe, Zoe wants Henry back at any cost. And so I picked this up because it was like that revenge novel, that short, fluffy, funny kind of high school, I want you back kind of novel. And that's why I picked it up. And we have What She Left Behind by Tracy Bellin. This book is about a mother and a daughter who are in the unfortunate situation of an abusive father and husband, and so they make a plan to leave and escape, and then the mother never shows up, and the daughter confronts the father about it, and he says she's on a business trip, but she doesn't believe him, so she is kind of uncovering that lie to figure out what happened to her mother. We have Someone Else's Life by Katie Dale. This is about a daughter whose mother just died of Huntington's disease, and she's about to go get tested herself when her aunt explains to her that she was switched at birth and her mother actually lives in America. So the main character goes with her boyfriend on his gap year to travel to America to find her mother and speak to her and kind of understand what's going on in her life in regards to that weird twist. Then we have How to Build a House by Dana Reinhardt. This novel is about a daughter whose life is completely torn apart by divorce, and so she starts volunteering to try and fill her time and fill a void and kind of get involved, and then she learns some lessons along the way, I assume, makes some relationships, that kind of, encouraging read. And last, we have Steel by Katie Vaughn. This, I'm going to read the first sentence because this is like book dream right here, okay? A mysterious broken sword transports a modern teen through time to the deck of a pirate ship. Yeah, a pirate ship. How awesome is that? Can I please be in this novel and have this girl's life? Because that would be so cool. So that's Steel. Super excited to read this. I also am probably going to hand this off to my sister after I'm done because she's a huge pirate junkie and I think she'll really enjoy this. So there is my haul. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have read any of these books and you think they should move to the top of my TBR, let me know. I have a review of Throne of Glass up really soon, hoping to finish it this weekend. And that is what I have today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!